I mean, the production design on Power Rangers is really second to none. They do an incredible job with the resources that they have and with the time that they have. It's really very impressive.
That was the fun of the whole show, was just getting into a whole new world.
And as an actor, it's impossible to go into one of those sets and not become transformed into who you're supposed to be. I mean, they're really that good.
Civilian crew and authorized personnel have entered Lightspeed Aqua Base. Security clearances checked and confirmed.
The set, the Aqua Base itself, was it was ridiculous.
It wasn't a facade. They built the Aqua Base. It was a full-on underground, I mean, it wasn't underground, but it was insane in this huge sound studio. You would get lost in there.
We went in there and it was like Star Trek underwater.
I mean, it looked like they picked up, $100 million Star Trek set and just put it in the studio.
High-tech everything. The quality of the work and the craftsmanship that the set designers did on this piece was amazing.
And we had a big tank that the Humvee would come up. I thought that was great production value.
Just literally had water on the set that you could climb into. It was like no expense was spared.
Being on that set made it just so real, and it allowed us to just jump right into character.
And it was really hard not to get into the role or not to feel like you were on this really cool base.
We would hang out in the Aqua Base instead of in our rooms or trailers. We would hang out because it was so nice.
I kind of liked the final set when they had the full miniature Aqua Base set up with little boats and stuff, submarines. It was fun to, I didn't play with the minis or anything, but it was really fun.
Watch out for all this junk. So it's great, huh?
As far as favorite sets, the first thing that came to mind was when we would shoot in the clock tower.
The clock tower, I guess, we spent the most time in there. And again, it was pretty elaborate how they had the bunks up there in the big tower.
I knew if I was in the clock tower, generally I'd be with everybody. And those days were ridiculously fun because we would all pull pranks on each other. We would all, be like, who got the least sleep? Because the hours were so intense. I remember being whoopee cushioned. I remember whoopee cushioning other people, messing with the crew. It was just, those days were joyful.
Hello, friend. I am Princess Shayla, and this is the Animarium.
Stepping on the set was just amazing because the set, as far as the jungle we lived in, it was an entire set built for us. Trees, our homes, just everything was so incredible. It basically helped you so much as an actor to be there, and it put you there. You didn't really have to think, oh my God, am I wearing the right thing? Or it's just like just wearing the costume and being in those certain places, it completely just helped out as an actor.
No way.
It's amazing.
Ninja Ops was always great. We had a lot of fun in there.
I liked every location outside. Those were my favorite sets. So being out at the beach, being in the forest, and anywhere that was outdoor, that was my favorite.
It's pretty magical. The sets they built were beautiful, obviously out of this world. It was just really, really exciting.
Whoa. This must be like the mothership for you, dude.
Normally, I'd be insulted. When you're right, you're right.
Dino Thunder one was fantastic. It had the wall and it opened up and you went inside and it was all the, sort of lights, and it was awesome. It was amazing. And it was great to shoot in because it had all sorts of little stairways that went up to out of here, and it had the wall and it had the TV screens and stuff, and it was cool.
There would be some days where we'd be in like the middle of the desert and there's like explosions going off behind us and stuff, and then, there's other days where you're in a regular studio, but they make it look like a cafe with tables and drinks and all these other things, so it was always exciting to go to set to see what they were going to do.
Mesogog's lair, I loved it from day one with all the vials and the colored liquids and his throne and the machinery, the way the doors opened, all of that I still remember quite well and was very, very impressed with it. And we obviously did a lot of shooting outside with Power Rangers. And New Zealand's a great backdrop for that kind of stuff. But really for me, I was mostly in Mesogog's lair. We did shoot the very first episode, though, I believe we're in some tunnels, some World War II tunnels in New Zealand, and that was quite fun.
I trust you've enjoyed your training here at the SPD Academy.
Well, since you asked, the fluorescent lighting gives me a bit of a headache. Yes, sir.
The first day on set, walking into the headquarters to film, was probably a little different of an experience for me as an executive producer as it might have been for everyone else involved, because I also had the joy of designing the set.
Our studio sets were fascinating. Greg, the art department, the whole team, Bruce's vision, all came together.
The set people in our show were fantastic. I remember walking into our command center for the first time, and I was like, wow, like this is like legit.
There was a command bridge with flashing lights. There was walkways with panels, sliding doors that opened as we walked through. I think we all felt like we were on the set of Star Trek, and it really helped create the world that we were in.
I was trying to push everything, make everything look as good as possible, maximize every dollar. My poor art team was working day and night.
You felt like you were in the future, in space, in a command center. It was crazy. It was very believable. It was very intricate. It was phenomenal.
If I could go back in time to my 10-year-old self and like show a picture and be like, someday, you know, it was incredible. It was like every dream you could ever dream. It was my Star Wars. It was my Battlestar Galactica. It was like everything I ever wanted to see right in front of me, and I was calling action.
We used the city too, so we had the natural sets and the beauty of Auckland. And the countryside, we'd go out to the beaches, and there's black sand beaches and white sand beaches, and kind of felt like you're in Jurassic Park. It was very, lush and gorgeous.
The set that I loved the most was not my set at all. Maybe that's why I loved it a lot, because I actually didn't have to work in it. But it was Grum's lair, the evil guy of our show, who had a whole dungeony environment, and it just looked the coolest. Every time we kind of peeked in the door to see what was going on in Grum's world, I was like, that set is pretty cool.
Mi casa es su casa. This is where you'll be living, training, playing, and working. Everything is yours.
I love the sets of Jungle Fury. I really loved the fact that we worked at a pizza shop. I love you walk upstairs and you got this like amazing, majestic loft.
In the episode where the Rangers into the RJ's loft for the first time, they all look around and go, wow, this is so big. And I did the exact same thing when I walked onto set, because it was really well made. It was really well put together, and it was huge.
They must have had a relatively fun budget, because they got to have where you sit down and eat, then the counter, and then the kitchen in the back, and then the stairs, which lead up to the next studio.
We had so much space to shoot in, and we had the little tier at the top that we could shoot at, and then the big sort of basketball, big floor in the middle with the mat that RJ would teach on, and then his workshop over there. So there was really cool different spots all around the place that we could shoot in.
Then we had the Daishi Temple, which was a copy of the Japanese one, and that was also really cool.
There was the one where Master Mao died. It's like this cave that they made, which was really rad, but it's really funny because if you go to the Joshua Tree or something like that where there's a normal cave, you kind of lose reality in a way, and you kind of expect to pick up a styrofoam boulder. So you're picking up these boulders in the national parks, and you're like, geez, I'm not as strong as when I was doing Koichi Camp kind of thing. You're like, this isn't styrofoam. This is actually for real. So, so that's a bad thing.
I like shooting outside, and the cool thing in New Zealand is you've got all these amazing locations that you can go and shoot at. And one of my favorite scenes actually is when RJ has his chair that no one else is allowed to sit in. And so we took that lazy boy out into the middle of this forest while he was teaching Theo to walk on the high wire. So that was one of my favorite days, is taking this big lazy boy out into the forest, sitting there sipping on some fruit drink with my sunglasses on and just chatting to Theo while he was up on the high wire. It was pretty cool.
So, here we are. Home sweet home.
We call it the garage.
See if you can guess why. Yours?
All 700 horses.
Cute toy.
These are the real toys.
Where did all this stuff come from? It came from me.
The sets on RPM were pretty incredible. We had the Ranger Room, which was kind of the entire... It was like a massive garage because our series was based around cars.
When we first went into the RPM garage that we were filming in,
I was so impressed with the production design. I just thought they had really created something that was edgy and fun and still felt young and new, but was incredibly technical as well, and had to house all of the mechanical equipment for these vehicles and our bikes and everything.
You have these multi-level things, this whole area where, you know, we sleep up here and we work down here, and it's the garage in here and then the ranger room.
I was so impressed with that, the stainless steel and the colour and the way they'd tied in our colours into the room.
I remember while we were doing the stunt training, even going in and seeing them still finishing the set, and the amount of work that was going into those and how elaborate they were just amazing. I mean, we were spending a lot of time in these sets anyway, but because of how elaborate they were, the complexity of the shots that they were able to achieve and the quality of what it looked like by the end of it was so amazing that I couldn't believe it. And the cars, oh my God, they were amazing.
Welcome to your new home. You've all come from different places and families, but share one noble goal.
One of my favorite sets was the Shiba House. There was a lot of Japanese influence. I was in awe when I first saw it. I mean, literally, it was just a lot of sets you go on, you just kind of see the walls and the living room and things like that, but it actually was a house, you know, that they built up because we did a lot of outside shots when we were training. And when you went in, I mean, it kind of had a modern feel, but Japanese influence. I mean, it was beautiful.
I definitely did have some favorite sets to work on. I mean, obviously we were shooting in New Zealand, which is endlessly beautiful. So every time that we were on location, that was my favorite time because the views are just gorgeous and you don't have to go very far for them. But that being said, I mean, the production team was top notch because these are all guys that spend all their other time on The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and these multi-million-dollar films. And so they bring that skill to Rangers for us, and it's awesome to work with them. It really is.
What's happening? Oh, freaky tiki.
We were blessed to shoot in New Zealand, to shoot with the crew that we were shooting with. Any set we walked on, if it didn't look picture perfect, you'd just go, oh, okay, so they're not finished yet. Because when you walk onto a set that they've finished, it doesn't look like a set. It looks like you're in another world. The first time we walked into the command center was magical. Gosei is massive.
My favorite set on the show was Bethel's Beach. So beautiful. It's black sand and just empty and huge. All my favorite sets were actually the outdoor sets.
Back to the command center. I mean, it had a nice glow about it at first, but that room sucks the energy right out of you. Because we'd be in there, and what happens in the command center, right? You get advice from Gosei. Gosei talks a lot, and believe it or not, that's just a head on the wall. So whenever we're in there, he's not actually talking. So half the day is you just standing there with this massive back and forth dolly shot as Gosei's not talking, and we're just standing there listening to him. And I remember a couple times I would try and throw something in there, anything, just to kind of get some movement to it, and they'd go, no, stoic. Take Gosei's words seriously. I was like, okay, I'll take it seriously. No problem. I got it. Okay. Still taking it seriously. All right, good. This went well, guys.
I didn't like working at our headquarters because it was very hot, and because of what we had to wear, it did get kind of stuffy and smelly, sweaty.
I didn't have to work in the Lothor's lair very much. I think I only had 1 or 2 scenes, in fact, in the whole thing, but everyone would complain about working in that one because you'd come out and with all the smoke, you'd end up with black all up your nose and in your mouth, and so we heard a lot of complaints about that. So I always felt quite, relieved that I didn't have to work in there so much.
The spider set was terrifying because they had us up on painter's scaffolding, high above cement floors. And every time anybody moved, the whole thing kind of creaked and swayed. And Keith and I were up there together at one point, and I'm not going to lie, I did reach down and grab his hand at one point when there was a creak. He kind of looks over, he's like, it's okay. We're fine. You sure? Yeah, we're fine. Did not inspire confidence.
Towards the end of the season, we had a bunch of fake rain scenes. We were filming downtown LA on top of buildings. Middle of the night, our call time would be early evening, and then we would stay until the sun came up. And we would be cold and wet in the fake rain. And it's like once that cold gets inside of your bones, it doesn't matter as much soup as they give you or hot beverages or towels or coats that they try to throw on you. You're just cold and you have to deal with it. But it helped that we're around, people that we wanted to be around, and, we could still have fun and sort of smile.
Gosh, the least favorite place to shoot was probably when we did stuff in the desert. We're out there, it was really hot. We had the same outfits on.
It's like 120 degrees, and we were in the dunes, and my outfit's all black. They have tents set up to kind of hide us from the sun while we're not shooting. But I remember being out there for 3 days straight from noon to night, and just, man, that was hot.
There were some times where they had to have compressed air canisters with tubes to blow into my costume in between takes, because I'd just be sweating. I mean, literally just sweating buckets, take the gloves off and water would come out. And so out, Mesogog, he doesn't like outdoors as much as he likes indoors.
Of course, when it was time to eat, there's sand blowing everywhere, plates are flipping up on your face. So I think the desert was probably the least favorite.
But it was fun because I felt like I was Indiana Jones or something, because there's just no one, it's just all dunes as far as the eye can see. You feel like you're in the Sahara Desert, and we did a lot of cool stuff there.
Gosei was just enough off the wall that if you wanted to, you could stand underneath him with your head just behind his, so it looked like Gosei's head was on your body, and you could do all kinds of really fun gags with it. So we had some dance parties like that in there. That was totally worth it.
When they took apart the aqua base, I think, maybe I shouldn't say this, Ron Roger, my dad, played my dad, took a piece of the aqua base. I think he has it still. It's like a shrine, but I think people were trying to get pieces of it because it was just so iconic. It was so cool.
And on the very last day, because we weren't really allowed cameras on set, this is actually a bit of a secret, but anyway, I dressed up in my lycra outfit and took heaps of photos on both the cafe and the thing. So yeah.